Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at a really cool new Mattel figure. This is the Savage Strike Velociraptor Delta, and it's coming to us from a Camp Cretaceous packaging, which is really cool to see, as the Raptor squad was displayed in the show, so it's nice to see kind of a mixture of Camp Cretaceous variations of these figures and then kind of the normal variation of the figures. But we also have a really nice appearance for this one, although it appears to be just the same sculpt reused already numerous times. I think we had Velociraptor Blue and Charlie already in this positioning, this body, this sculpt, and now we have Delta as well. But honestly, I think the figure as a whole looks really nice as far as the paint scheme goes at first glance. But as far as the packaging, pretty much just your standard Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous packaging. We have another one of these little booklets right here, and then an image of the Velociraptor here on the back, and then a few images of the other figures in this wave of Savage Strike figures with the Pachycephalosaurus, Stygimoloch, and the Dilophosaurus we have recently reviewed. So let's go ahead and break this out of its packaging and take a look at it. So here is our Savage Strike Velociraptor Delta. And I definitely like the paint scheme on this one a lot. I love the paint up on the face. I think the paint on the face really makes the figure overall, but the actual color scheme used on the figure is definitely a very nice interpretation of Velociraptor Delta and looks about as good as I think you're going to get in Savage Strike form when it comes to this particular dinosaur. So let's just go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. Now this figure, of course, is a reused sculpt. We've already reviewed this sculpt numerous times already, so we only really have to look at what's new with the figure. If you would like to see a more detailed review of the sculpt, you could check out the Savage Strike Velociraptor Blue review, as that was the initial review of this sculpt, and we have again a much more detailed look at it from there. But as far as this one goes, you can see that we have a really nice greenish coloration here for the body, which I think looks pretty darn close to what you see on Velociraptor Delta. I mean, not perfect, but definitely pretty close. And you can see that as far as the face goes, we have kind of like this very dark gray that kind of litters all over the face, and I love that they've given quite a bit of coloration to the face up here, kind of spotting and splotching all over the place, especially all around the eye. I think that coloration around the eye really helps to make that eye pop, and definitely looks quite nice. The eye is a yellowish coloration with a nice black slit pupil there. Same deal over here. The eye placement looks not perfect, but definitely not bad either. As we open the mouth, we'll get a look, if I can actually get a hold of the mouth. There we go. We'll get a look inside. Beautifully painted inside the mouth as far as that really nice coloration for the inside of the mouth. I love the color there. That's a very nice natural tone of color, I think, for the inside of the mouth of a dinosaur. Much nicer than what we had seen on the Savage Strike Dilophosaurus. And you can also see that for the most part, the teeth look pretty decent. I mean, there is one downside I could see here on the inside of the mouth, and that's that the tongue kind of loses the paint here on the side of the tongue. I don't know why. You can see it kind of just looks white, as opposed to looking the entire way through as that coloration that you should see on the inside of the mouth. So that is a little bit of a downside for the inside of the mouth. Definitely an eyesore once you open that mouth. But other than that, the teeth seem to be painted pretty nicely, sculpted quite nicely, and it does include a nice gloss coat in there for that extra bit of realism. You can also see the lower jaw sports a light white coloration, and then as we move down, it kind of turns into like almost a light green that runs along the underside of the dinosaur and actually goes almost pretty far out, almost onto the tail, which is nice to see as well, to see that color variation. There is the Jurassic Facts app, since we're here, if you would like to add that to your collection. But up here, again, we have that dark gray or dark green, it's hard to really tell, that kind of continues to run down the body, and you can see it's just stripes all over the place and just kind of designs all over the figure until we get to about here, and then it cuts off, and then we have nothing more than a green tail. We really have no color out here at all. And we also actually have nail paint on the feet, but not on the hands. But it is nice to see some nail paint. Guaranteed, yep, the dew claw is of course missed, but we do have some nail paint on the feet, which is definitely cool to see. I wish Mattel could get into the hang of painting the nails of the feet and hands all the time on every figure they release, because I really feel like that would just make them look so much better. But overall, as far as a Velociraptor Delta figure goes, definitely nicely done. The paint application looks very nice and natural, and again, about as good as I think you're going to get for a Savage Strike variant of Velociraptor Delta. As far as articulation goes, we did say that we have the articulated jaw, which does actually work quite nicely. We also have articulation in the neck, which is really loose. If you actually look right here, like, look at how loose that is. That's super, super loose, and I don't know if that's just limited to my figure, or if maybe that's something with all of the current Deltas out. I have no idea. I would hope it's probably just limited to my figure, but it is really, really loose for sure. We also have articulation in the arms, which are forward and back, out away from the body. That also is the action feature, the Savage Strike feature. And then we have the articulation of the legs, forward and back, which also kind of feel a little bit loose, like really, really easily movable, which I don't know if that's good or bad. We can also move the legs out away from the body, but not by much, just a little bit. And then we can also swivel the tail as well. But as far as articulation goes, that's about all we've got here. The actual Savage Strike action feature would be this button here on the top. We push that, moves the arms so that the raptor can now slash its arms and attack whatever you are making it attack, which is pretty cool, but not the best action feature, I will say. As far as the size goes, on our Velociraptor Delta, for a height, if we go off of the tip of the tail here, you are looking at about 4¼ inches or around 11 centimeters, and then for a height here to the top of the head, you are looking at about a little under 2¾ inches or around the 7 centimeter range. And for a length on our figure, we see this come in at about 7¾ inches or a little over 19½, closing in on 20 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Golovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our Savage Strike Velociraptor from Mattel, and you can definitely see that it's pretty much just the same size as all of the Velociraptors are from Mattel, unless you go into the Amber collection, because they all sport this same similar size range. But again, with a reused sculpt like this is the third time I believe this has been released. It's definitely something you probably should be familiar with at this point if you are a Mattel collector, so you probably already have a good idea of what the size is, but if not, hopefully these figures here will help you out. So this Mattel Savage Strike Velociraptor Delta is a pretty nice figure. It's actually, I think, my favorite version of this specific sculpt, this Savage Strike version. Again, as we've said before, we've had Blue and Charlie so far from this sculpt. We now have Delta, and I think the paint scheme and the overall appearance of the figure, I think it looks the best this time. The Delta variant looks the best, so that is a plus as far as this specific figure goes. It is now my favorite variation of this sculpt, but again, the paint scheme looks pretty nice as far as what we see here. We have a very nice greenish coloration for the body, and again, that darker coloration that kind of runs all over the body looks really cool as well. I wish the coloration, that darker kind of coloration, would have ran out all the way onto the tail. Again, I really think it would have looked a lot better if we would do that as well, give more paint out onto the tails of the dinosaurs. Of course, adding in nail paint would help as well, but aside from that, I think the paint application looks quite nice and overall is very appealing. The sculpt, of course, looks really good as far as a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World style Velociraptor goes. Mattel usually does a tremendous job as far as the sculpts and the accuracy of them, and you can definitely see a very nicely sculpted out figure overall as far as this Delta version goes. So as a whole, I think it's a really nice figure. You've also got a pretty cool action feature that is nothing special, but also pretty darn nice for this type of a dinosaur. So that is a plus also. And then you also have some really nice articulation. So the figure, again, beautiful overall. Not anything that's brand new and amazing, but regardless, a really cool figure nonetheless. So if you would like to pick one of these up, I found mine at Target, so head to your local Target, keep checking back if it's not there now because they kind of pop in and out of stock as people seem to be buying the Jurassic figures fairly quickly, at least in my area. So it's very hit or miss, but as far as newer figures go, it's almost non-existent for me, unfortunately, but somehow I was able to stumble upon this one recently. So either way, make sure you pick this up if you can. In fact, find it and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.